morning, sir. Leader Jeffries, we had Congressman Clyburn on earlier in the show, and he described you as being blindsided by Senate leadership. Help us understand what happened.
Well, House Democrats were strongly opposed to this reckless Republican spending bill because it would hurt the American people, hurt seniors, hurt families, hurt veterans, and enact cuts that we believed were not in the best interests of the American people. We opposed it from the very beginning all the way through the Senate vote, and will continue to impose these types of cuts to the extent that they are put forward by Republicans. The Senate position was the Senate position. There were many Senate Democrats that shared our view with respect to this reckless Republican spending bill, and we're all going to have to come together to move forward to oppose the Republican budget that they are trying to jam down the throats of the American people over the next few weeks.
Leader Jeffries, I have heard that from a number of House Democrats specifically, and some people aligned with House Democrats in the last 24 to 48 hours that, look, Democrats have to come together because there's more work to be done. But I do think that the rift that we are seeing, and not even rift, I just think it's about a difference of approach. You have a number of Democrats, yourself included, House Democrats writ large, all of you all, and a number of Senate Democrats also.
Yes, she's absolutely right. It is about a different approach. But when you're a party that is expecting support from the American public, a significant portion of it, you have to have your stuff together. You can't be going all the way down to the vote, and at the last minute, he's on here letting us know how blindsided he felt by his basic Senate party leader of the same party voting in a different direction than he initially thought he would, and not knowing until the last minute. No, that's not a difference of opinion. That's a party that's imploding.
That are ready to fight, that want to demonstrate to the American people that you understand not just the stakes, but you are doing everything you can about it. And then you have a contingent of senators, Democrats in the Senate, that don't necessarily share the sentiment that you have about the approach. From the outside looking in, some people are saying, well, are Schumer's and Jeffries not speaking? But it's my understanding that you all did communicate, and then something happened for Leader Schumer that changed his mind. And I'm just wondering, do you have any insight on what that was, or have you and Leader Schumer had a conversation since that vote?
We haven't had a conversation since that vote. I was down in Houston helping to memorialize and funeralize the great Sylvester Turner. I just got back.
Well, while you were down there, you should have memorialized the Democratic Party, because they are about as dead as that friend of yours you went and buried. There's no way that we can dig our way out of this by publicly falling apart, and then these pundits on these shows try to take these broken and failed politicians and mend them back together in real time right in front of our eyes, and we're supposed to buy this shit. Simone Sanders and all the other ones. And what's that one they just fired over there at MSNBC? The one with the blonde short hair. I'm telling you, those are the reasons that is so unbelievable. These politicians are coming to these folks for help, to hopefully get the people who still watch their shows and believe them to get on board with the fact that we're going to make a comeback. And the truth is, when you get Democrats that split, that means they're that defeated. That if this damn if you do and damn if you don't at this point. You can vote for what the Republicans and Trump want to do, and you look like an idiot, and you can vote against it, and you look like an idiot. You look like you're trying to shut down the government that you said he was trying to shut down. It's a no-win situation for the Democrats. And then they don't turn it around. They don't start publicly just fronting the old people and saying, you got to get out. You have to do it. Just do it. It'll be historic. And people will be like, oh, that ain't right. No, it is what it is. These people are in their 80s, and somebody has to take the wheel. We have people who are younger than in their 80s, in their early 70s, who need assistance from their children and folks to get through life and through the community. And if you're telling me somebody in their late 80s is as sharp as somebody in their 40s or 50s, I disagree. I absolutely disagree. And they might be an exceptional politician, but they are not what they were 30 years ago. And as a result of that, they need to step down. They got to go.
To New York. I do expect to have a conversation with him at some point later on today. Look, Chuck and I disagreed as it relates to the approach and outcome relative to what we viewed as a reckless Republican spending bill and the effort to try to jam these cuts down the throats of the American people, cuts to health care, cuts to veterans benefits, and cuts to nutritional assistance to children and families throughout America, while
I really need to read the shit. I do now, because I want to know, are the cuts, is Trump and his folks including the administrative cutbacks? They are laying people off. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. If that's what it is what it is. These people are going to have to go and get jobs in the private sector or in their state governments. If they're government workers, maybe they can go and find work in the state that they're from. It appears to me that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are basically shifting the bulk of our government services to each individual state. And then the states can push it down to the counties and the municipalities. If you live in the United States of America, some of these counties, the economic wealth within them, the money that we're spending in the police departments, I don't know if Trump would agree with that, but maybe we need to take some of the money that's going into some of these police departments and some of these other agencies on lower levels and redistribute it around to where these cities work and make sense. If we're having a hard time in shortcomings in California and in other sanctuary states and sanctuary counties and sanctuary cities, maybe we need to reappropriate those funds where they go over to, instead of helping illegal immigrants, they go over to helping our seniors. If our Democrats are on board with that kind of talk, then we probably can begin to mend this. But you cannot put the immigrants as a given and a priority and then start fighting for Medicare and fighting for all this other stuff. Why are we giving this money to these people when we can solve what you're telling us to fight for with that money? That's the way it should be.
Potentially handing a blank check to Donald Trump and Elon Musk to continue their extreme Project 2025 agenda. At the same period of time, Chuck and I agree on the overwhelming majority of issues moving forward, including our effort to oppose the largest potential Medicaid cut in American history. And we're all going to have to come together. House Democrats, Senate Democrats, governors, elected officials.
We need to stop bickering over health care in this country. Somebody needs to come in here and get it right. Obama did whatever Obama did, and look where we are. How in the hell can health care be such of a issue when everybody needs it, when everybody wants it, and everybody has to have it? So what is the problem with our government, our elected officials, not being able to satisfy that to where we're not divided down the middle thinking because of our economic situation, we feel this way, and because the other rest of us are on this recipient end where we need a job to have health care, or we need the government to have health care. We need to get beyond this. This has been going on way too long. And when Obama came in 2008 and figured that he was going to be the president to solve it, or to at least make a gallant attempt, nobody gets it. Everybody wants to oppose and fight. We shouldn't do this, we should do that. Back then, the Republicans were happy with the way things were and didn't want to change it. And Obamacare was the devil and it was worse. It's always going to be that way. Now the Democrats don't want to change. And obviously, the people want the change. The Democrats were in office running this shit, and there's no reason why they should have been voted out if the majority of Americans were happy. The majority of Americans weren't happy, so unhappy that they give them the Congress and they give them the presidency. And Trump set up the Supreme Court. You guys are going to have to suffer this ass whooping, unfortunately. And I don't think it's fair for you to get down to that point where the ship has sunk And now you want your folks to swim back to the surface and do all the marketing and redeeming you and fighting and making Trump look like the worst thing ever. So it looks like the American people are opposing. Right now, I think we need to oppose our Democratic Party and make them fix their self so that they can do what a party is supposed to do. Go out there and fight against the Republicans and win with some credibility. And if you're lying to us, then you don't even have credibility with your own constituents. So how can we send you off and think you're going to actually beat the Republicans? And an interview with Jeffries is just like ridiculous. They ask him one question, he answers it a completely different way. If you listen to how this man talks when he answers questions, especially about illegal immigrants, they refer to illegal immigrants as American citizens. If you go and deport an illegal immigrant who may have a child who was born in this country, or who may have family in this country, or who may own a home in this country, and you deport that person, you're deporting an American citizen in the eyes of the Democratic leadership. I don't think the people on the street who vote for these Democrats feel that way. And I may be wrong, but I don't feel that way. And that's why I left the Democratic Party, because I ain't voting for people who aren't citizens to have the same rights as citizens, or it's no use being a citizen. I would rather have my job and not pay taxes to this country and not pay any kind of money to this, except when I buy something. If I go to a retail establishment and sales tax, I get it. And that's a big help from illegal immigrants economically. But if they can avoid payroll tax just by being illegal immigrants and not get deported, what is your incentive to become a documented person? There isn't one. And that's the downside of it. Is I don't think any part of our Democratic Party should be fighting for illegal immigration. They should fight for some kind of bill that the Republicans and the Democrats agree on, so we can have proper integration of immigrants into this country, and not what we got going on now, and not prioritizing immigrants to the point of where we got to whine and cry and scream over Medicare cuts and these kind of cuts and those kind of cuts. Well, the state of California sends more money to the federal government than it gets back. So it shouldn't be hard for the state of California to figure it out. Some states send less money. Those states are going to have to work with Trump on some things. And if we balance things out, I think everybody can be okay. But I might not be completely against the states taking control. If we have states that have issues that need to be dealt with, then the federal government may have to come in and say, hey, state, you're going a little far there. You can't do that. Or is Trump going to be the president who's going to say, if that's how it is in that state, that's what it is. They say it's the law, it's the law. I mean, where are we going with this? And why don't the Democrats step back and let us see? We might hate it more than you guys do, or we might like it. But I do believe we have the opportunity to test drive it. I think we do. Our government has been going the same way it's been going for too many decades for people to be as poor and as homeless as they are in this country. And we got to at least be brave enough to get out of that. Because if we don't vote differently, think differently, and allow some change to happen at some level, maybe this change might not be the change we want, but it might garner some other change as a result of that change, inspiring something else. But just not being inspired to change at all and having the look on your face like Hakeem Jeffries, nah, that's unacceptable.
Advocacy organizations, civil rights groups, the democracy reform groups who are doing a tremendous job stopping the Trump administration in court. We are all going to have to come together to oppose the effort to rip away health care from the American people, which is why Democrats on Tuesday across the country are having a Medicaid Day of Action in blue states, purple states, and red states to save Medicaid for the American people.
Leader Jeffries, you say that Democrats will have to come together on this issue to hold the line, but I presume that was the thinking going into the vote last week, and yet that line was not held. So I think a lot of Americans, particularly those who are looking for some action from the Democratic Party on this, and I want to...
They're wasting their time. If you're waiting on action from there is no action. They can't do anything. All they're doing is saying everything Trump's doing is illegal, and he has a supermajority and he's the president. It's real hard to poke too many holes in the losses of elections. He's doing what a person does when they have an agenda and they're trying to lay it out there. Wrong, right, or indifferent, whatever. But the Democrats are not in a position to do anything except obstruct and complain and whine and self-implode. I cannot believe that it's gotten to this. I didn't think Jeffries and Schumer would be at odds because they seem like they get along well, but they're both being yanked by different parts of the Democratic Party, and it does cause friction because we got some folks out there who ain't talking it like they walk it, and we know it, but then they come out here and get on these shows. He's one of them. I'm so unimpressed with Jeffries. We're at the low point of a damn Democratic Party in my memory, and then look who's the leader. Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is being given a little test drive. He will never be the speaker. If they get a majority, he won't be the speaker. And if he is, it won't be for very long. He is not cut out for this. And he's not even able to unify the party to the point of where between him and Schumer, they didn't come out of a meeting with an understanding that the votes that they ended up taking reflected. It's like, it's different if a few senators or whatever do that, but the leader, without telling anybody and really explaining and with an understanding and an agreement, not just a couple of days before coming out and your mind is changed, but your party's over going like, wow, man, you probably could have done that in a different way where we ain't looking as bad as we really are.
Iterate, it's not, in my view, not just action within the Democratic Party, but how the Democratic Party rallies the entire country, Republicans like myself, independents, and others, to this idea to stand on that wall to prevent this deconstruction of our government.
That's exactly it. The deconstruction of the United States government as we know it, but not the deconstruction of the United States government, because the United States government is alive and well, and it would be very dangerous for anybody, Trump included, to try to change it. I think he's risking his life by just altering it as much as he is, because the talk coming from the other side, if you listen to it, is very dangerous talk. You don't have to curse. You don't have to say words directly, but if you threaten a person's ability to feed themselves, ability to eat, ability to live, ability to have money coming in, because so many government programs have been set up that's what some people are relying on just for survival. And yeah, if I was Trump, I'd be a little worried that people are going to look at that as a threat to their existence, and you could be a high risk for being assassinated. I think presidents are anyway, but shit, you don't need the other party just saying you're the devil, he's taking your food, he's taking your kids, he's kicking, I mean, he's just, if the wrong people listen to that kind of rhetoric, it could be very violent.
To that point, with respect to how this holding this line will go, you have from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in a Blue Sky tweet noting, among the material devastation to everyday people, Senate Dems have now blown a hole in their ability to work with the House. We had an agreement.
And Ocasio has changed. She ain't the same little rebel she was when she first got there. She's chilled, and she's rolling with the folks that the Democratic Party need her to be rolling with. So if she primaries Schumer, or it's just a movie, it's just a movie. What's she gonna do? She ain't gonna do anything. That Ocasio, she's a much better speaker to younger people because she's a younger person. I hope that the young Jasmine Crockett's and all the new senators and governors, senators and Congress folks coming in, don't fall into the trap and continue to do what Schumer and Pelosi and Maxine Waters and all these old Clyburns and people have done. Don't fall into it. You gotta move on. You gotta take that Democratic Party and let the American people know what you can really do for them. And agree with Trump in some ways as far as bringing some of that money back. I don't know about being isolationist, but could be better off going back in that direction a little bit, pulling it back in, reining it in, and getting with our military, strategically setting some shit up that absolutely has to happen, and close some bases. We got 750 bases worldwide. We need to close some bases. That's billions of dollars to maintain these military installations. Would we still be the world superpower if we cut our military bases in half? Let's say we went from 750 to 300, 325, 350. That's more of a reasonable range, and that's a lot of bases worldwide. That's a lot of bases, but it would be half of what we got now. I don't believe that being a military might should be as important as it is in this day and age. I believe the conversations have to be different with Russia and China and even our allies. Trump might be a little rough on the allies right now. I don't agree with that, but if our allies are taking advantage of us and it's just the way it is, then that ain't cool either. I don't know what the books look like between Mexico and the United States and Canada, but I do know both of them are geographically located in a place that makes it very nice for them as far as never being invaded, never being messed with militarily, and just having a military that basically is, minimum for a country in North America. But you got the United States next to you, so what are you going to worry about? We need to just think about it like this, folks. We are the people, and we know damn well that the Republicans Party is not doing what we all want, and we all know that the Democratic Party ain't doing what all we want. But for us to get up and scream and fight on either one of their behalf right now would not be wise, because both of them are feeling their way through this shit. The Democrats are fresh off of a very severe ass whooping, and the Republicans are wielding power like no party ever has in recent memory and doing something with it. Actually doing something with it. Trying to make some shit happen, and to the point of where this president has the support of 10 Democrats to advance his agenda. So the government will not be shutting down, and the Trump train keeps it rolling, while the shipwrecked Democrats are at the bottom of the ocean somewhere next to the Titanic. I mean, it's really sad, folks, but it's really happening in our lifetime. It couldn't be a more exciting time to be alive.
Agreed upon plan, House took immense risk, then Senate turned around midway and destroyed it with a fear-based, inexplicable abdication. They own what happens next. You just described what the next is on.
He doesn't know. He's speculating. That's what I don't like. You just described what I know. I know Richard Steele, that he's a congressman, that he's the ranking Democrat, but he does not see into the fucking future. And you shouldn't be doing that to us, you or him. And like what he says is in gold. If it was, you guys would be in leadership. And when you were, you didn't have this clairvoyant shit going on. Now where'd it come from? That is so disingenuous to trick people the way you guys do, and to be okay with it, and to use your platform for that. When I think the Democrats could bring everybody in tighter by just being more honest, be the party of real. The party of real, who just say what it is and don't be bullshitting no more. And if there's money that you guys want to spend abroad, I get it. But you guys have built up some infrastructure around the world that what Trump is doing is going to harm a lot of people. But why are these people abroad living so comfortably on the taxpayers' money, the United States taxpayers' dime? That just ain't right when we need so much over here. And you guys are piling more stuff on top of us and trying to make us make do with what you allow our taxes to be kept over here. And the rest over there is just should be brought back home. We got way too many problems to be so friendly and so eager to just write checks and give. We have all kind of national and natural disasters here in the United States. And the presidents will go and speak at a disaster at a town and pledge, but it's like with the understanding that some insurance is going to kick in, with the understanding, and it seems like more for showmanship. And I think we should be touching down in these communities. And the way Trump's doing it now, it won't even be that way. These countries around the world are going to lose some of our money, and these states are going to absorb some of the responsibility of these disasters. They're going to have to get up and figure it out. Most of them work hand in hand with the federal government now, but Trump wants to take the second seat and allow the governors of these states to become like little presidents when things break out. I want to see how it's going to go. This country has some very interesting states in it. It's a lot of diversity, and I hope it works out well, for the majority of the American citizens. But I hope we don't lose the oversight. We may, it may be an opportunity for some group. We must say this. If we can argue over a lot of shit, but we already know the Democrats aren't going to save us. The Democrats, if anybody is having a problem in their region that they live in, and it has something to do with your racial makeup, your religion, or your sex, or anything else, we can say safely the Democrats aren't going to save you. Whatever you've been experiencing as far as any kind of disrespect, any kind of bad treatment because of your something that you are or have going on in you, the Democrats ain't gonna help you. That's not what the Democrats are here to do. They here for you to support them. They're not here to support you. As if you can remember that part, you're gonna be okay.
On the healthcare front, how do you hold the line so to repair that hole in the wall from what happened last week and prevent another one from opening up?
There's going to be many of them opening up. The Democratic Party is falling apart. What Schumer just did and those 9 other Democrats that voted along with him, it just opened. That was like the dam is about to break. They're going to be all over the place because some people, even though they know Schumer voted with the Republicans, don't want him primaried, don't want him out like that. They know he's done a lot of good to the party. And then some of them are like, that's it. He's got to go. And they got to get that together behind closed doors. They need to go close the doors and talk. The Black Caucus needs to speak up. I don't think they're vocal enough. Right now is a perfect opportunity for us to use the Democrats' position to try to advance ourselves a little bit. Wouldn't be a bad opportunity for everyone. Any group or faction that is a supporter of the Democratic Party should be trying to step it up a little bit and see if they can get a little more out of these folks in the form of real support and resource and not no bullshit. Jeffries is just a disappointment, and I don't think he'll be in that seat long.
We have the Republicans on the run on 3 different issues. 3 different issues. We have them on the run with respect to the economy. Donald Trump and House Republicans promised that they were going to lower the high cost of living. But instead, costs haven't gone down. They've gone up. Inflation is going up. Why? Because Donald Trump and Republicans haven't been focused on doing anything to lower the high cost of living. Not a single bill, not a single executive action, not a single administrative order. We, as House Democrats, have to make sure we forcefully make the case to everyday Americans.
We're tired of that talk. Nobody wants that talk. All you want to do is say, look what he's doing, look what he did, look. The man ain't been president. I don't give a damn what anybody campaign on. I ain't going to be down on nobody in the first 60 to 90 days of their presidency. Unless they doing stuff like Trump that we start seeing effects. And so far, I'm hearing more talk than seeing the effects. When people start crying that their checks aren't coming, that's going to be it. Because that's what it comes down to. And if you guys can spend all this money and all you got to do is appease the poor people and keep them quiet with the Social Security check or some Medicaid benefits and as long as that comes monthly like clockwork, and you got all these people up here working in these departments, they should get their checks on time. There's no reason for them to be late. But if Trump can make it more efficient and get them checks out without all the people up top, then the Democrats is tripping. We can't be. That's not the way you're supposed to live. I mean, shit, I wish I could have me a nice job, but really just be there just because the government knows I need a job. I mean, but we're just like shooting ourselves in the foot. We're going to take our tax money and do what governments do with it. Build the roads, build the infrastructure, do those things. Make sure those things happen. And not take the people's money and give it to other people. You can't do that. To the point of where you're begging for things at the bottom. Take care of the bottom. Make sure there is no low people in the United States of America living in the streets, not eating every day. And then make sure there's no one in the United States of America with no health care. Once we got all them things, then let's start seeing about sending money overseas or lowering our taxes. How about that? We want to be as rich and as well off as we can be. Not how rich and well off as you think we should be. When you got excess and you're about to do something with it, you need to start thinking, well, maybe I should return this to the people. That's just how it is. We got an IRS that we pay more money to than we owe, and then we have to wait on them to give us back what we overpaid. That don't make no sense. And then they ain't playing when you're late, but then when they late, it's different. I mean, the country is backwards, and the Democrats have allowed that. Any government agency, no tears will roll down my face if they shrink them. Only because if it's unnecessary, it's unnecessary. And we need to keep it real.
That we are trying to build an affordable economy. We know that costs are too high, and we know that people are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, and that should never happen in the wealthiest country in the history of the.
But it happened for the last 4 years while Biden was in office, and now he pissed about it. That's why I can't do it. I can't do it. You can't get mad now, and you wasn't mad then. You wasn't pulling Biden aside and having them talks with him. Look, man, he's doing the same thing, in my opinion, but just worse. Biden was willing to take us into World War III like real quick. And I don't know if Trump got the best negotiating style with Putin, but goddamn, I mean, he's over there about to stop Ukraine from basically being invaded. That shit was about to happen. And the United States was only going to make it worse by just giving them just enough. That's just so dangerous and irresponsible. And none of the Democrats seem to be against Biden's approach on Ukraine, which is major. And now they just nitpicking everything Trump do. He's Putin's puppet. He's this, he's that. I'm telling you, it's still too new to say. But it's not too new to say there's a breath of fresh air that we are not going to be on the treadmill of Biden and the Democrats running in place. At least there's going to be some movement. And I still do believe even bad movement could spark something good, as opposed to just running in place and being complacent and not changing.
The world. We got to hold the line as it relates to the economic narrative. And we see that Trump's poll numbers are collapsing in that regard. The American people are with us. We got to hold the line as it relates to the effort to save Medicaid and prevent the type of devastation that Republicans are trying to bring to her.
If they bring the kind of devastation to Medicaid that this man is talking about, I would really like to see everyone on Medicaid sitting at home watching Maury Povich and not out in the streets pissed. Everybody is going to be pissed. There is no way. If Trump is crazy and he does that, I want to see it. I want to see it. And if that don't happen, the Democrats are going to be in a low place. Everything they say now has to be factual. Everything they say now has to be, because people are listening to them. And if they're lying to us, and I think they are, just to get their support, just so we can get our clothes on early in the morning and go out and protest all day and be seen on the news and give them the backdrop they need of resistance and of, but if we do resist and become successful in our resistance, what are we going to do? Hand this shit back over to the Democrats to finish doing what they were doing? Open the borders, high taxes, money. I mean, there has to be a change. And it would be so nice if the Democratic Party changed so that then we know our support for them is refreshed and renewed. And it's just not supporting a party we've been supporting for a few decades for nothing. It's something renewed, refreshing, that's different that we should be supporting. We cannot continue to support civil rights type blacks in government who aren't really civil rights type blacks. They just appear that way on the shell and on the outside, but on the inside, they're doing nothing at all for civil rights for black people.
Hurt children, hurt families, hurt pregnant women, hurt seniors, hurt Americans with disabilities who rely upon Medicaid to go see a doctor and to live the best possible life. This Medicaid cut that Republicans are trying to visit upon the American people will close hospitals, including in rural America, and close nursing homes. Every single Democrat in the House and in the Senate opposed the Republican budget resolution. We have to stay the course as it relates to that level of principled opposition. And lastly, we have the Republicans on the run with respect to their tax scheme. They want to rip away money from everyday Americans so that they can fund massive tax cuts for their super rich donors like.
I would be more in support of tax cuts for rich billionaires than our money, I guess, that the tax billionaires too, going overseas to some of the stuff that it's going to. I'd rather that money stay in the States. Or if it's a billionaire in the United States, cut his taxes. He's a fucking United States citizen. Why not? Why would we hate our billionaires in the United States and we giving billions of dollars away to other people around the world? We don't know where the money is going. So, yeah, maybe our money needs to be better accounted for. I don't know if Trump's doing a little stunt, to make people think about things, and he ain't going to do it either. That might be the case. But he is damn sure right about the audits. He's damn sure right about the money and us knowing where it's going. And no one can say, oh, yeah, they found fraud, but it wasn't enough fraud to wreck that whole department and all that. Well, any is too many. We shouldn't be no fraud.
Elon Musk and the wealthy, the well-off, and well-connected corporations. That is not acceptable, and the American people are with us on that. And so it's my hope and expectation, not just in the next few days, but in the next few weeks, in the next few months, as we engage in this legislative struggle, that we can stay together in defense of the American people.
Leader Jeffries, I want to follow up with you about Medicaid because on Tuesday, as you know, Democrats across the country will have a national day of action on Medicaid. We had Governor O'Malley, former Governor O'Malley, on yesterday talking about the Social Security aspect of.
Don't y'all just think it's messed up? They be having people go out in the streets and hold signs and feel fierce and emboldened, and that's what they should be doing. And they beg for your vote, and you give them your fucking vote, and then they go lose these elections because their policies are unpopular. Even if they're marginally unpopular, they're unpopular. You didn't win the election because you are marginally unpopular. And you expect us to continue to pour our support through our votes and now our time because you lost, which means we got to do more for you to get back in that position again and give it. That 4 years of Biden is the clearest in my mind as to why I would not, could not, and other people should not be out there supporting the Democrats. That's some bullshit. You got other things you can be doing with your time, and you did everything they asked you to do. You voted for them. You voted for them. That's what they need. If they had a choice of your vote or you out there supporting them in the streets, they'll take your vote. And we gave them that. And they do nothing with it. And then Jeffries gets on these shows and lies a lot.
Republicans are talking or are potentially going to do in the breakdown within the Social Security system. And I have to tell you that folks out there, people who watch this show, who see our clips online, they think that we are not telling the truth about Social Security and Medicaid.
Yep. And I'm glad she's honest about that, because that's the damn truth. A lot of people don't believe you're being honest. And why don't y'all just shut up and wait? Because it's about to go down. We're about to figure this out. It's like you guys want us to bluff Trump into stopping so that then you can say, see, oh, we avoided. No, we ain't averting shit. We want to see. I really want to see if things are going to be better through Donald Trump. It would be hard to believe, in my humble opinion, that a United States citizen is willing to get voted into the presidency of this country, and he has family and deep roots in this country, to put this country in a place where people hate you after your plan is developed, after you've got an opportunity to implement everything you needed to implement, and then the country just hates you because it was just like you intentionally wrecked the country. I don't believe that Donald Trump is trying to personally wreck the country. I don't and I don't believe that Biden was trying to personally wreck the country. I believe it's a way you think and the way you do. I can't see the way Biden was presidenting this place as being a good president. I don't see it at all. Most of the stuff is already in place. The Democrats are in such an advantage because the beat goes on for the most part. They don't have to change very much as the Republicans. When Trump comes in, it's like, forget this. He was frustrated with his last presidency. You could agree with him or you cannot. But if you went through 4 years of what he had to go through, maybe you'll be like, no, I'm not doing that again. I want to be president. I really want to get some things done. The Republicans are rolling with him way better than anyone thought. The frustration and the implosion of the Democrats is coming at the hands of the Republicans staying together. The stronger they stay together with their votes, and they got to feel out there that they got to rein in and they have to work with. But the tighter they can stick together, they're making the Democrats just fall apart because they anticipated that the Republicans would, and the Republicans are doing anything but falling apart right now.
Speaker Johnson is actively going around saying that when Democrats like yourself suggest that they are going to cut Medicaid, that it is a lie. So what is your message to people and your response to Speaker Johnson, who says that the Democrats aren't telling the truth on this?
House Republicans are lying. Their own budget resolution set in motion up to $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid.
That doesn't mean that $880 million is in check to the recipients. The recipients' money can be untouched, and they can still cut $800 million from some of these departments or more, because that's how much money is going into these departments for some of the I guess the services that aren't necessary, the services that aren't really needed. And if that's the case, yeah, cut them. But when we get done with all these cuts, Donald Trump, we want to see a lower tax bill. You're gonna have to show us something for this. You have asked us, and those who voted for you have allowed you this opportunity. Now show us that you really mean lower taxes for everybody, not just for billionaires. Because if you do that, the Democratic Party will no longer exist. If the things that you have proposed, if they come to pass, even half of them, there will be no more Democratic Party. You will have no more competition, and you might not have to run again. You might be the president forever, because any party that is crying and wasting people's time the way the Democrats are right now better have some really, really good news coming, something to solidify all this, because otherwise they're just wasting people's time, and it's going to be more and more clear real soon. And Schumer should really have pissed off the Democrats, because he made what Trump is trying to do happen faster instead of delaying it. And some Democrats are in the party of, let's try to obstruct and slow him down, and maybe instead of getting his full policies implemented, he'll only get half or less. And some are like waving the white flag. They don't see the benefit, because if we continue to fight him and some of the things that he says become beneficial or well liked by the American population, then the Democrats will be blown out of the water and dead. There's nothing they can do. Nothing they can do. There's no coming back from that.
That would be the largest Medicaid cut in American history. As Democrats, listen, we all support any effort to try to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. There is not that level of waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid and Social Security.
See? And he's speaking without having conducted an audit. He's just saying there's not that level of it because he doesn't want that cut. The cut's going to happen. Part of the shit's already be dismantled and ain't going to be reconstructed. So what is he trying to tell us? That without conducting an audit, he can tell us that the level, he don't know what the percentage or the level is. But if he admits that there's any, then that's too much. There shouldn't be any. And there should be systems in place so there isn't any. And when I say any, I know it ain't going to ever be down to zero, but goddamn, it should be negligible to a point where it doesn't affect us. It's significant right now. And unfortunately, I don't believe that Trump heart is in the right place, but right now he's going to give us an opportunity to make some things happen in this country, and we should not fight against it. Whenever somebody want to raise the hood up and let you look at the motor, let them raise it up. You just looking. You just want to check it out.
In Medicare, and so they are using that excuse to try to visit these extreme cuts on their own people and everyday Americans all across the country. And independent observers who have studied their budget proposal have said the same thing, that they are going after these important safety net programs and earned benefits. Listen, the average Social Security recipient in the United States of America receives about $65 a day in benefits. $65 a day. Elon Musk, in his contracts with the government, the federal government, gets about $8 million a day. If they were really interested in waste, fraud, and abuse, they would start there.
So he's saying that Elon Musk's contracts with the government are fraudulent or need to be taken away. And I don't know what he was saying. See, they throw a number out there that he's making $8 billion or $60 billion a day from government contracts, which he might be. But he has government contracts. He owns a company that launches missiles and satellites into space. He has a company that builds electric vehicles. He's into software. The man has a big business. He's the richest man in the country. And you can't knock him because the contracts that he has with the United States government are paying him $8 billion a day. Now, if the United States government was giving him $8 billion a day just to oversee Doge or just to pal around with Trump, then yeah, that'd be a problem. But if he is submitting bids to the United States government and winning them, and the majority of the money that he's gotten from the United States government was not under, recently anyway, was not under Trump, it was under Biden. Biden administration was approving SpaceX contracts. So we can't be mad at Elon because he's better friends with Donald Trump than he was with Biden. And Biden was for electricity. That's why I can't believe it. You would have thought that him and Elon Musk would have hit it off real good. But I just think that there was so much wrong with the Biden administration that we didn't know and that we may never know. But it didn't seem like a well-oiled machine.
But they're not. So they're going after grandma and grandpa and people who rely on Medicaid in order to see a doctor. It's scandalous.
It's scandalous that it has to be that way. Why should these people have to wait on the government to make sure they can go to the doctor? Why should they? And why should, if that is the case, should it even be in jeopardy? It should never even be in play. You can't put people's, if a safety net is truly what you want to call it, a safety net, then that's what it is. And no one should ever have to worry about nothing. If you're worrying about it, it ain't a safety net, or whoever built it didn't do a real good job. The safety net need to be secure. And people who are in that bracket, in that situation with requiring that safety net for medical coverage, it should be no way that a Donald Trump should ever be able to threaten it. And you shouldn't be, Hakeem Jeffries, telling us that this $800 billion that's going to be cut is going to cut the checks. Is it going to cut the services? Is it going to cut the employees? What's it going to cut? And if you're not going to be honest with us there, or is it eventually going to just be shifted to the states? Is that where he's going with this? Hey, you send us this much in taxes each year. keep that much. Pay your Medicare. Hey, you send us this much, keep it. Pay your. Is that what he planned on doing? It seems like Trump is putting things onto the states and taking it off of the federal government, which it for the most part is not a bad idea, but there are going to be some difficult areas. I just don't know if it's going to be enough of them to just try to demolish everything he's trying to do. And I also know that when we do get a Democratic president again, all this stuff that Trump is doing, he won't get in office and immediately reverse it and roll it back all that he can, because they never do. Biden didn't either. Some of Trump's things that he did before, Biden liked and kept. So that's just how that goes.
And that's why we're going to continue to strongly oppose it.
Leader Jeffries, President Trump just invoked the Alien Enemies Act to target Venezuelan nationals. We haven't seen this law be used to target a single ethnicity since the Japanese internment. What are you going to do to prevent the next Japanese internment and protect Venezuelans who call this country home?
He just said they was gang members. If they're gang members, the Venezuelan gang members, they might call it, the Crips and the Bloods call this place home too, but they're American citizens. And look how they treat them. The Venezuelan gangs need to be eradicated. They need to be moved out of the United States. There's no place for them in our jails or in our society. They got to go. Why are we having that discussion? Whatever Trump does to the Venezuelan gangs, it is what it is. Whatever Trump does to an illegal immigrant is very unfortunate, but we have laws in the United States, and everybody has to agree on the fact that coming across the border without being a proper documentation or visiting as a tourist or however you come here legally, it's unacceptable. We can't act like a person coming across the border illegally and our president wanting to remove them, he's the bad guy. That is horrible thinking, and a big problem that I have with the Democrats.
Listen, we have a broken immigration system. We've got to fix it. We've got to fix it in a comprehensive and bipartisan way. And all of us within the Democratic Party, we oppose illegal immigration. We believe that if you're a violent felon, you should be deported.
Once again, he does that lying shit I don't like. He's basically saying, if you're an illegal immigrant, it's because you're a violent felon. But the other ones who come over here and don't break any laws are citizens.
But we also can't go down this road that the Trump administration is taking us on and potentially deport American citizens, deport legal and lawful permanent residents.
A permanent resident and a citizen isn't the same thing. You're a permanent resident if you sneak into a country and never leave. You are technically a permanent resident, but that's not the laws of the land, and that's not the way it's supposed to happen. And for him to be sitting up there saying that shit is problematic. I find a lot of a problem with that shit. How can he be okay with them coming over here and just forming permanent residency and not really ever becoming United States citizens? I don't know. That's where my problem comes with the Democrats. And Schumer seems to be breaking from that little group and the group of them, and that is the majority. And that's thinking that I don't believe most people agree with, but we are so bad in this country now at what they call it, the worst of two evils, and you got to take the good with the bad, and we just been beaten down so bad now that we just incorporate negative ass talk into our everyday speech, and we shouldn't accept that shit. Fuck it. It's not gonna benefit us to support a guy like him who lies to us to our face. He's in an interview with a few MSNBC people who are trying to resurrect what's going on right now with the Democrats. And they're trying to walk him through our interview. And every chance he gets, he's lying to us.
And break up law-abiding immigrant families who are contributing to this country. This particular law has only been invoked 3 different times in our nation's almost 250-year history. The War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. There's a reason why it's been limited in its application. Those circumstances do not appear to exist right.
They don't exist because Venezuelan gangs don't live next door to you, Hakeem Jeffries. If you lived next to or in a neighborhood of Venezuelan gangs and they were affecting your neighborhood, then it would be a different feeling. And it might be a little over the top, but we need to let illegal immigrants know that it's not going to be pleasant to come over here illegally. You shouldn't have to come here, set up your job, set up your house, have kids and all this, and then all of a sudden you're sweating bullets because a new administration came in and changed the way the other one was doing things. It doesn't mean what he's doing is illegal. It means that they were tolerating the illegal behavior and trying to make sneaking into the country an administrative issue as opposed to a criminal one. It's a criminal issue.
Now, and that's the reason why a court has halted the Trump administration's actions. And we're going to stand strongly in support of the rule of law and its application, which the Trump administration appears to be violating in this particular instance.
Leader, before we let you go, I got to get a little bit more political because that's what us chairmen do. You know, the word on the street is Schumer's likely facing a primary challenge. And there are a lot of Democrats who are applauding that idea. You know, look, I'm not going to get you one way or the other on that, but that's a political reality within your party right now. The disruption in the leadership and the grassroots being upset with that leadership. How do you, given what's at stake in terms of the House, control of the House next year, and the rest of this year, level up an argument that moves, as we've discussed in this conversation, from health care to the economy to foreign policy, getting the American people behind the leadership of the Democratic Party?
Well, it's all of us. It's all hands on deck. So it's every single House Democrat, myself, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, who are doing a tremendous job, but every single one of us, and it's every single Senate Democrat led by Chuck Schumer. And we've got to make sure that we are making the case that as Democrats, we want to make life better for everyday Americans and stop bad things from happening, which are
He doesn't mean that.
being visited upon the American people as a result of Donald Trump and the compliant House Republicans who, when they are told to jump by Donald Trump, their only response is how high. It's one of the reasons why our most urgent political project is to take back control of the United States House of Representatives so we can actually have a check and balance and cut Donald Trump's presidency in half legislatively next year.
You have to win some elections before you can do anything like that. You guys are just in a bad place because of the elections and because of your appeal to the American public and because you lie a lot. The Democrats lie a lot. And a lot of people who follow them only look at liberal type media, and it makes it a lot easier to stomach it. But when you listen to the alternative, and some of it is way out there, about as way out there as this stuff, but it's the exact opposite. And if you can bring yourself to a happy medium and break it down, the Democrats are a ship that has sunk. And usually after a ship has sunk, you don't see people, bringing it back up to the surface and repairing it. It's usually a sunken ship. Even if it is recovered, it's salvaged or torn apart or reclaimed in whatever way they can get, but not used to be out there floating on the seven seas again. And the Democrats are going to be the same way. They're going to be a party that is going to take way longer than it took the Republicans to rebuild their self when they did that little Tea Party thing. And the shit worked. Look at one of the Tea Party members. Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. And you guys realize that he came in as a Tea Party member. And I never really took him seriously as a politician. I just looked at him as like a little, problem. They just opposed Obama for the simple fact that he was black and didn't listen to his policies or what he was doing. And, whether they were good or bad, they just were kind of doing him like, and that's what I don't like about it. The obstructionists and the minority side of our government is always the loudest and making all this noise and feeling that that's what the American public needs. And it isn't. What the American public needs is for you guys to be in a lab somewhere figuring out the best thing for the American public and how you're going to introduce it when you get back in power, and how you're going to introduce it so that you get back in power. So people hear your plan, people hear your ideas and really say, hey, that works. They're not just saying bad shit about Trump. They got an idea of their own that they want to implement. And it's so much different than it was, because the younger Democrats have to grow some courage and start to primary the older ones. You just have to. Maxine, them got to go. Go put your arm around them, kiss them, hug them, and then tell them nothing personal, but I'm primarying you. It just is what it is. Won't even know if you're going to be alive in 5 years. We got to start looking into the future and the betterment of the country, and not what these politicians want to do. Die in the seat, die in sessions of Congress, die while they're holding down seats they could have relinquished and moved on. The Supreme Court, the government in general, they got to be able to understand when the time has come to go, and know that you've had a good career and that you've mentored enough young people that one of them is going to step up and do good. Maybe not. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.